Hi everyone, this is Richard. In this video, we're going to be using CSS. Now remember I said in previous videos, this is not my strong point, and you'll probably see very clearly why it isn't. But let's just go over this and see. CSS we use for two main purposes, like everything, right? We use anything and everything for two purposes, is to make it look better or else to make it function better, right? So in the previous video, we have some of this. We'll remove this and we'll change this again to um, new BMI.BMI, right? So we'll go back here, refresh this, put a height, weight, and we got our answer of a BMI, right? So what we could do is make that a little bit prettier. So in CSS, it's the div element result. There's two ways we can do it. So we can do the pound result. Now, how do I know what's the syntax here? This is an ID and we use the pound sign. Remember in the query selector pound, that's the same syntax for CSS. Okay, so query selector, what if you wanted like for example, a div element? That would be a just result, or it would be div, right? If you wanted a class element, it would be dot. So it would be dot here, dot result. If result was a class name, you could have a name. So right here, name weight. You could have that in the CSS, but it's not a standard thing, so don't do it. In W3 schools, I don't even think that's listed as an option. So mostly in the CSS, you're going to identify things by either the ID, the class, or the tag name. Okay, so here we could do either one. We could do, because here there is only one div element in the whole web application. Okay, really super trivial. So only one div element, but we might want to have more div elements in the future. So I'm not going to make this characteristic by div element. I'm going to have it by ID. Okay, so result. And let's just say I could have let's just make a border style solid. Let's try that. Um, that didn't actually work very well. Pound result. ID equals result. Oh, wait a minute. Did I do something wrong here? For some reason, when I copied these through, these are not actually working very well. So it did not actually refer to that page. Let's try that again. Let's save it, because that should have worked. All right, there we go. 77, 177. There we go. So it's a border. Then you might say, oh boy, that's kind of a little ugly there. Okay, that doesn't make it look prettier. That makes it uglier. Okay, well, we're making a step back. How about if we make the width, um, I think it's going to be roughly like 30 pixels. This is you just need to have experience to say how wide it's going to be. That looks better. Okay, excellent. So there. But then again, you might start saying, that in and of itself, that's not exactly pretty, right? So we have to do other stuff. Maybe I don't want it to look like that in the very beginning. Maybe I'm going to say, again, me personally, I'm fine with that, all right? But you might say, that looks a little on the uglier side itself. So what you could do is back here, you could say, text new BMI.BMI. We could say also query selector dot style dot border equals solid, and we could go style dot border equals, oh, I'm sorry, border, it's going to be border width. Border width equals, what did I say, 30 pixels? 30 pixels. Okay, we could do all of that. Let's try that. So when we refresh it, okay, looks normal, right? That's good, good. 77, 177. And now it doesn't do the style dot border equals solid, style dot border width. I think we're going to have to put that up there. That's not doing it either. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. So dot style dot border width. Let me see if there's an error here. No, result dot style dot border equals solid. That's an error. Border width equals 30 pixels. Oh, wait a minute. That's not actually what I'm looking for. I'm not, okay. Border width is the width around the border. I was actually looking for the width across. So that was actually looking for something. So it was a complete utter typo. It wasn't even a typo, it was a mistake. Width equals this. All right, so the problem before was that it was spelled, solid was spelled wrong, so I didn't have a solid border, and then I asked for the border width to be super thick, but I didn't have a border to begin with. So that's why there was no error, but it just wasn't working. I thought position made a difference, but I don't think it actually does. I didn't think it did, but for some strange reason. Okay, so again, before, nothing. So now you get a border where it says, ooh, this is the answer itself. So notice if I copy this and I put it above and we save it again, it should still run the same way. Technically, probably in the very beginning, it'll print it out and then it will put the border on top, but we should not be able to see it with our eyes without a speedy camera. So yeah, that's about the same. All right. But, okay, so that makes it look better. It makes us focus our eyes here. Again, very subjective if it looks better or not, but at least that's an option. And notice that we could put the CSS here if we always wanted to make it this way, but of course we could change it here later. So if we started in the beginning, result, and I'm going to say color red, oh, that's going to be actually the inside of it. Okay, let's try that. That's let's just put this border style. Let's just start with this right here. So it'll be nice and long, but we'll change it in the code. Okay, so we'll change it shorter right here. So it'll shrink back because we're changing the characteristics of it. Okay, so we could do it in CSS again. I'm going to delete this because it doesn't look as good, and I'll make it in the code as well. When possible, though, always try to do the coding in the CSS or the HTML, because every time you add the code, if you make Dart do the extra CSS heavy work or manipulating the DOM in any way, it does add to extra latencies, extra slowdown of your web application. All right. So that's what we got here. What if I wanted to make it a little bit different though? Okay, even then, now I want instead, I don't want it to just be black. I want it to be, if you're either under or overweight, I want it to be red to alert you saying, hey, something's wrong here. Okay, then if it's a normal body mass index, then I'll say um, it'll be black. Okay. And if it's a no green, it'll be green. And if it's you're overweight, then I'll make it yellow. Okay. Red for bad, green for good, and yellow for borderline. Borderline overweight. Okay. I'm not gonna do an underweight one because it's gonna be too much effort. And I don't know what that is. All right. So let's go here. Let's remove this. Let's go back. So what am I gonna do? Am I gonna put the logic here, or am I gonna put it back into the BMI calculate? I could do either one, but to make it a little bit more modular, I'm going to try to put it way back here. Okay, so I have this. I already typed this in, div element query selector result. So I'm going to get this element in and of itself. There's multiple ways to do this. This is just one way. Okay, here I'm going to say, okay, I have this as a instance variable, right? And it's going to be a div element. I'm going to use it down here and add a function to the class. I could add it outside. I could add it inside. Don't feel strongly either way. I'm going to add it right here so you can just take the class, copy it. The problem with it, of course, is it becomes a lot more bloated, right? Because you have a class that has a bunch of junk in it that you don't really need, but at the same time, it's got more functionality to it. Where do you draw the line? That's going to be up to you, okay? So, and I might regret this later, putting it in the class, so I might in the future, refactor the code. That's always possible. So what am I going to do? Let's just say present, or actually, interpretation. So this is going to be an interpretation of the BMI. It's not just the number, it's going to be an interpretation. I'm going to say if double dot parse BMI, because BMI up here is a string, remember? BMI is less than 18.0 or no and or double int dot parse is greater than 30.0 query selector result dot style dot color equals red. Okay, and I think I'm just going to put the result query selector style dot text equals BMI. All right, so else if so, in other words, if BMI is less than 18 or greater than 30, the color of the style, the color of the text is going to be red, and you're going to actually print out red, the result in red. Okay. Here, if double parse dot BMI is greater than or equal to 27.0 and is less than or equal to 30, then style dot, that's yellow, else if this is going to be the normal double in parse BMI is greater than or equal to 18 and it's less than 27.0. And I'm just making these numbers up here, okay? So just over 30 is obese, under 27 to 30 is overweight. Some people say that 25. And I'm gonna put is gonna be green. So did I miss anything here? So if it's less than 18, greater than 30, from 27 to 30, 18 to 27, that pretty much covers it all, right? Else this. So this would actually cover all of them. Let's do that. So in main.dart, this, instead of this, I would actually say new BMI and BMI new BMI dot hang on. So I would trigger the BMI dot interpretation. Let's see if this works. Again, you're going to cross our fingers a little bit. Okay, so 777, you're super skinny. If a BMI is really high or really low, it's going to be red. If it is green, that's good. So the weight, I'll bring that up to 200. Wait a minute, not 1200. So 250. Okay, so we do have a bug inside of here somewhere. Oh, it's right there. I can actually see it. Okay, so in this case, functionality sucks, okay, because I can't even read this right now. It was there. Was it there the whole time? I'll have to go through the videos themselves. But that actually kind of drives me crazy. And this is part of CSS that I don't like. People have some of these things where you just can't read when you just look at it. And it just drives me nuts. So I think I'm the exact opposite. That's why it's certainly not my strength. Okay. I wanted to go over a few other things though before I finish up. That was how we can actually use CSS to make it a little bit quote unquote easier, okay, to read and the application better. Remember right here, we actually can do something like this, but remember we can also use cascades here, right? So here is the object, and how do you use a cascade? Delete that there, right? Put two dots right there. So then you would have to just do right here dot dot text. Okay, so dot dot style dot color dot dot text. Save that. It'll format it itself. We can use cascades so we don't have to type this more than once. Same thing here. Dot 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 dot. Remove that. Dot 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 dot. Remove that and remove that. So again, it just makes it a little bit easier to read overall. If you have lots of dots there, the cascades really do make it easier. but does it change the functionality? It shouldn't. So let's try good, put the 250, and it's going to be in yellow right there. When we put 2,500, and it puts it in red. Okay, so this is another reason why I don't go through CSS that much, even though I really should, is silly things like this really mess me up. So I hope you've liked this video. We went through, I know I did, we went through this to use CSS to make the output a little bit easier to read, or at least gives us hints in terms of where there is something alerted, where there is something I should be aware of. Okay, thank you.